It's good to speak with you again, Mary. We've had several good discussions in the past regarding intangibles, and I'll put those links in this blog post. Can you start, just provide again a brief background of yourself?
Sure, Dustin. I'm a person who started my career in the financial industry. I was with Citicorp and Sanwa Business Credit for close to 15 years, and then started my own consulting firm almost 15 years ago. And so spent the next chapter in my career helping companies with their strategies and figuring out how to grow in this challenging economy. And I became really interested in the field of intangibles here in the US and really all over the world. Intangibles are the dominant asset now. In the US, 80% of the value of the average business is off balance sheet. It's intangible. It's not being counted using the traditional business tools. And so the challenge and why I started a new company in January that we haven't discussed before, Dustin, is called Smarter Companies. And Smarter Companies is creating a marketplace of tools and ideas around intangibles to help educate really all kinds of business people on how to think about these, how to see them, make them visible, measure them, improve the monetization.
So you mentioned you have some open source tools on your website.
Right.
Can you talk about those?
Sure. So one of the big challenges for everyone is just starting the conversation. And I had a book come out a number of years ago, or it's about 3 years ago now, talking about intangibles, and that helps. And there are a lot of people having conversations, but there's nothing like just putting in people's hands some simple steps and some simple tools. And that's what we've done on the Smarter Companies website, and that's smarter-companies.com. If you look under iCount's tools, we have about 4 open source tools that you're welcome to use. And the first one helps you figure out the relative importance of intangibles to the future of your business. It's a simple calculation. You can do it right there on the website. The second one tells you how, it's called the iCounts inventory, that tells you how to ask 7 questions that will get at the heart of all your intangibles. So it gives you an inventory. It sounds silly, but that's one of the basic things with business is if you're going to measure something, if you went into a store or you went into a warehouse, you went into an office building, your first instinct as a business person would be to say, well, what do we have here? And everyone would naturally take an inventory, but with intangibles, nobody's been taught to do that. And so this tells you how to take an intangibles inventory, how to identify the key components of your intangibles. And I'll talk about how some of those break down in a second. And then we have 2 visualization tools that, again, are critical because these are intangible. People aren't used to thinking about them. Being able to lay them out and visualize them. One is a kind of a free-form map approach that you can do using sticky notes on a wall, and the other is a more formal canvas approach that is derived from the business model canvas that's also an open source tool, and that gives you a framework, literally a framework that you can enter in your inventory in this framework so that you can kind of look, and it's a great way for thinking about supply chain. It talks about kind of the production, and then it talks about the distribution and the partners that exist on both sides, on the supply side and the distribution side. And really that's what's so fun about, so those are the 4 tools. They're all available on the site. And I think they're really relevant to folks in the supply chain area because you're the essence of an intangibles system, right? You have to think about people and competencies. You have to think about the processes of your partners. You have to think about what the business model is, what the culture is in each organization, how good a fit there is there, and you have to think about all these relationships among different types of partners. So all the supply chain is clearly an intangible based system, even though it's designed in many cases for delivering tangible goods. It's that whole system that surrounds the tangibles that's really important and drives the success of an organization.
Do you have any examples of the application of these tools for supply chains?
I think that, I mean, every time we use it, it ends up incorporating the supply chain into the analysis of a company, and that's really one of the things that's so powerful about intangible capital thinking is that it's a holistic view of the enterprise. So it's not just saying, okay, here's our org chart, and an org chart doesn't show your partners. It's really designing a visualization and designing all the measurement and understanding and the strategy of an organization, seeing it as an integrated network with the suppliers and distribution partners totally integrated into that view. So in terms of an example, my favorite example, and this is somebody that I interviewed a number of times over the years in my different programs around intangibles, was one of the representatives from the Disney Corporation. And in many ways, I always say that he had one of the best understandings of the intangible nature of supply chain and intangible capital of almost any business person I've ever seen, because they understand that their reputation is completely tied to the reputation of every supplier in the entire supply chain. And how do you manage an external force, an external organization, without having an understanding that of this holistic system? As I said, it's not just about having the right contracts. It's about knowing the people. It's about understanding the strengths of their processes. And one of the things we're focusing on more than ever, and I think Disney's a good example. I think most successful leading companies today, what unites them and what creates the fail-safe and the degree of comfort as you're managing a far-flung enterprise or even a local one, it's the ability to develop and maintain a strong culture. And we actually adapted our tools a couple of years ago to add culture as one of the key things that we're measuring when we measure all the elements of intangibles. And I have more and more respect and really I'm giving it more and more importance in our work to understand what the culture of an organization is, because a culture is a stronger police force than any kind of top-down system that you can put into place. Because a culture tells people how to behave much more. You can't have enough rules to tell everybody how to behave in every situation. But if you can create a culture and an environment where people intuitively understand what they're supposed to do, then you have an amazingly powerful organization.
And do you have any final recommendations for supply chain executives or professionals who want to try your tools on your website?
So the real lesson that I try to share with folks is that if you can understand all these different elements, the people, the processes and knowledge, the relationships, the culture, the business model, and develop a holistic view of it. And if that holistic view is something that you can share with all your other partners, then you're gonna have much better results than trying to deal with it using kind of the old-fashioned accounting and industrial models that most of us were taught as classic business tools. Kind of break out of that, try to use some of these new tools to think holistically, to see how really enterprises today are just a series of networks rather than individual org charts.
Thank you, Mary, for sharing today.
Thanks, Dustin. It's always great to talk to you.
Yep. Thank you.